Lost another colony to raiders? Let's make sure the next one doesn't suffer the same fate, shall we? Today we're gonna show you how to defend your base in various ways. Let's start simple, with the concept of cover in a battle. You always want to be behind cover, no matter what. Different cover matters though. For example, a bush only gives 20% cover, while a wall will give you 75%. Depends on the angle of attack, of course, so flanking your enemies will give you a much better chance of hitting. You can use a simple design with walls and sandbags to give yourself the best possible cover, making the enemy much less likely to hit. The raiders will always try to go for cover if possible, except mechanoids, so you can abuse their AI by making the only cover available very bad, such as stools or other furniture. A good soldier can break or make a fight, depending on the situation. You're gonna want your pawns with the best shooting holding the strongest and long-range weapon. Traits need to also be taken into account, such as tough, whip, careful shooter, brawler, and many other traits. Take a look at a soldier and decide what is best for them. What is a soldier without his equipment? You're gonna want to field soldiers with the strongest armor you can manufacture. Even clothing offers protection, especially thrumbo fur, devil strand, and hyperweave clothing. For guns, assault rifles and sniper rifles are the bread and butter of most colonies, able to dish out good damage at a solid range with good base accuracy. Charged rifles are a good alternative, dealing more damage with higher armor penetration, but rocking less range overall. I'd recommend trying out various weapons to see what tickles your fancy. Don't want to risk your colonist's life at all? How about preventing the raids altogether? The three main factors that impact raid size are your wealth, colonist amount, and difficulty settings. If you want to keep the raid strength at a minimum, don't hoard large amounts of corn without a purpose. Do you really need to cut every single stone chunk on the map or grow that 2,000 yayo? Do yourself a favor and just get what you need with maybe a bit extra. You can also lower the amount of colonists with normal human counting as 1, and mechanoids from the biotech counting for 20 to 40%, depending on the mech. Keep it in mind. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. Sun Tzu, very good book, read it. It's 256 pages, it's like a megabyte in your brain. There are various enemies in battle, and there are various tactics you can use against specific enemies or raid tactics. Man-hunting animals and instead can only attack you in melee, so choke points are absolutely deadly for them. Humans are rather fragile, but come in all shapes and sizes. Tribals are usually poorly armored, but come in larger numbers. Outlanders and pirates come with various weapons in medium numbers, targeting any raiders with a rocket launcher as they can devastate any colonists they hit. Make sure to check the weapons of any raiders that show up and target them depending on your strategy. Mechanoids are the last type of enemies you may encounter in vanilla. Scythers are deadly melee enemies that move faster than pawns. Lancers are the ranged brother of the Scyther, having poor accuracy, but their shots deal enough damage to one-shot most limbs they hit. But their incredible DPS comes at the cost of poor physical durability, being weaker than a human. Centipedes are the crowd control specialists equipped with miniguns, charged miniguns, and inferno launchers. They are very slow and suffer from poor accuracy and poor melee. The last of the mechs you may encounter are pikemen. High accuracy, medium damage, and slow moving. Engage them in melee when possible or close the distance as fast as possible. It's important to note that every mechanoids are vulnerable to MPs and to not suffer pain, making the complete destruction of their body the only way to take them down. But what will a raider do once he gets on a tile? Raiders will either prepare, siege, breach through your walls, or make a normal attack. A normal attack will target any alive non-pen animals or colonists within their reach, and will then focus on the most valuable thing they could find to smash, or the closest field to light on fire. Expect them around your coolers and fields if left unchecked for too long. But those are nothing compared to the damages sieges can do if left alone, as they will bombard your colony, hitting whatever they can. Try to snipe a few of them with a long-ranged weapon to get them to do a normal attack instead. Keep in mind, mechanoids have a much more advanced type of siege called mech clusters, only included with royalty. Make sure to snipe any auto mortar. The final, and typically one of the raid types players have the most trouble with, are breach attack, or sappers. They will make a beeline for your bedroom, smashing walls and mountains alike. Make sure to intercept them before they start breaching your base, as raiders will get very distracted smashing all your valuable chinchilla fur chairs. Pain is the final concern for your pawns. Any creature that reaches its pain threshold by default 80% will go unconscious from the pain. The only exceptions are mechanoids which do not feel pain. There are various ways of mitigating pain, such as drugs or bionics. Go Juice and Yayo are the two main drugs you are going to see on the battlefield, the latter increasing movement speed and cutting pain in half, while Go Juice makes the pawn near immune to pain on top of getting extreme buffs to various combat stats. Drugs obviously have drawbacks from being single-use and having risk of overdoses and addictions, so use wisely. If you want a less risky approach, pain stoppers can be acquired from traders or crafted with royalty, which nullifies pain entirely. Having no pain is a blessing, as you will stand your ground and fight until you die, or lose the ability to stand, whichever comes first. But that means that your pawn will die instead of getting down from pain, which can be undesirable. Pawns that feel no pain are also highly vulnerable to bleeding, as they will take a lot more punishment from the enemy and require immediate tending after battle. Your base design can matter a lot, as raiders can be funneled, distracted, split, or manipulated in various ways. One of the most defensible ways of making your base is to make what we call a megastructure. Megastructures are bases where all the rooms are connected through indoor hallways, making Manhunter packs significantly less of a threat. Keep in mind your pawns will suffer a mood debuff from being indoors for too long. If you choose to make such a base under a mountain, which makes you immune to drop pods and sieges, but vulnerable to infestations, you'll be near unbreakable to most raids, as you can just hide inside from many raid type. I'd like to take a quick moment here to plug our Patreon. Our Patreon is merely $12 a year, where you get early access to video, your name in the credits, and your name after the pawns in these clips, like this one where this guy gets blown up. Oh man, that was one of our subscribers. Well, he's dead now. Anyways, $12 a year, you get stuff early, and if you wanted to pay more, you get these stickers. Ooh, cool stuff. Anyways, back to the video. What if you want to bring the fight to the raiders? Well, you could send your pawns out to brawl with them, but that carries the risk of death. Mortars, however, can shoot with infinite range and rain death on your enemies from afar, either seriously wounding them or straight up killing them. Mortars can be particularly devastating against siege raids or mechanoid clusters without a high shield. Their accuracy is determined by the shooting skill and the manipulation and sight stat, but keep in mind the miss radius is still quite high, so you might want to fire a few of them at a time to guarantee damage. This next trick can be particularly useful in the early game. Factions will fight each other if you let them, particularly trading caravans and raiders. This can save a run if you can lure the raiders to a friendly trader or visitor. You can also have the chance to pick up various quests for various pawns that can also be used in combat, and some of them can even die without penalty, so use them as meat shields at will. You can also request military aid from any allied faction at the comms console for a small goodwill cost. But what if you're one of those players with morals and don't want to send innocent bystanders to the front line? You can always turn your eyes onto animals. Most, if not all, animals can turn Manhunter through events or bullets, making them aggro on the closest human. You can also tame animals, giving you some control over them, depending on their intelligence level, of course. For example, cows aren't gonna charge in battle for you. They're way too stupid for that. But wolves are relatively smart and can be controlled through their handler in various ways. They not only make a great front line, taking some valuable shots, but many animals tend to have a lot more HP than your pawns. On top of that, you get to eat them when they die. What's not to love here? For manhunting animals, there isn't much science about them. If you're lucky and a raid happens during a manhunting event, great. If not, maybe you can trigger some elephants, thrumbos, megasloth, or like, but remember, you'll still have to mop up whoever wins the fight. How about bringing the might of the Empire to the front lines? Royalty adds various tools to aid you in your defense, so let's take a look at all your options. The obvious first step are psycasts, capable of controlling the battlefield at mere press of a button. We will list a few of the best psycasts here. Berserker Pulse is capable of turning a large chunk of raiders against each other extremely quickly. Invisibility lets you attack freely without the risk of getting shot. Keep in mind that duration is short and that you are still vulnerable to area of effect damage like explosions. Skip lets you teleport anything and everything, pawns, items, animals, raiders, anything goes teleported. If you are curious on how to acquire said psycast, we have a psycast guide on the channel. Go take a look. The other major aspect of royalty loyalty used in combat are permit. You unlock your first permit at the rank of Acolyte, and a few of them can be used in battle. You can call down various squads and airstrikes for free with a cooldown, or use some honor to use it in emergencies. While Ideology isn't exactly thought of as a combat-oriented DLC, it has the capabilities of boosting your combat power greatly. Precepts and roles can play huge roles in your battles if used properly. While there aren't many vanilla ideologies capable of boosting combat power, one of the most interesting ones is Combat in Darkness. The game is flipped when it comes to combat balance, and you now have a distinct advantage in the dark and disadvantage in the light. You will want to use dark kill boxes or roof some areas of the map to help the defense. This can be an amazing choice if you can get a good fighting area going. Roles are another major factor to consider. Every ideology has a leader with the ability to boost nearby allies with increased aim and melee hit chance due to it affecting everybody. This skill is extremely powerful if you tend to group your pawns together. The combat specialists are dedicated to combat and benefit from increased stat in their respective class. With powerful abilities, the final role in vanilla that can help in combat is the crafting specialist. While not directly boosting your combat abilities, higher quality items have better protection, increased damage, and superior aim over their poor counterpart. The effects are subtle, but they will stack up over time. The last part of the Ideology DLC that is often forgotten are Dryads. Dryads can be a very powerful tool in the right hands, as they are very expendable creatures capable of either soaking shots or dealing extreme amounts of damage. We'd recommend you give it a go, and let us know how your Dryad military went. The final DLC added to Rimworld adds a vast combat arsenal. From mechanoids to genes, we won't be going in specific. We already have guides for them, but we will give you guys an idea of what's available. The most obvious and straightforward combat method in biotech is Mechanators. They are capable of controlling dozens of soldiers which are immune to pain, don't need equipment, can be revived at a low cost, and carry heavy weaponry. Lancers and Tesserons specifically are monsters, capable of dealing huge single target damage and large crowd control respectively. Just keep your Mechanator protected as he is vulnerable to raiders due to low control range. The second major feature of biotech are genes, capable of significantly altering the abilities of a pawn from the Neanderthal, capable of dishing heavy melee damage and taking significantly more punishment, to imps, capable of setting the battlefield ablaze. There are tons of options to choose from. Some of the best combat genes include robust, reduced pain, very fast runner, and strong melee damage.